LGD, their time at the top of the table was short-lived. They are now right, if it's on the money. Doesn't quite find Ravenclaw. And now Vampire with 3 will be able to move a little bit further forwards. 5 eliminations found already. Look at those HP bars, Blank. They are super, super low. Another nade that's on the right line. Will it find it? Ravenclaw down. Fluke almost soon to follow. A Molotov to put on both sides of this engagement as well. Stoned is close. Wants to put a nade back as an answer. Spots the player of the headland. And Fabian is tearing Vampire apart. Finds the final nail. And what a way to close it down. Down 1 dominate on the Northwest.
I mean, Down 1 has just been performing so well throughout the entirety of the year, doing some really good stuff, and I think making their country proud as well. I think that, you know, you look at Down 1 and you feel to yourself that they had some great ideas of how to play a lot of their engagements. They had some interesting macro, the way they would surround team and set themselves up for success early on. Not necessarily hugely aggressive, but very tactical and calculating. But it's now nice to see as well that on top of that, the gun skill has improved a huge amount as well. So looking at Down 1 Gaming, I feel like another team that is in maybe a good spot to make it through this survival stage. It's very early. I know I'm calling these things right now, but there's only 3 days, guys.
It is really, really tight. I mean, you need top 16 in these first 3 days. That's what you're going to be looking for. So putting good performances up early is going to be great news because teams are only going to be playing 12 matches each. It is not a long set by any stretch of the imagination. So getting good games in early, going to be really, really good to get that in the bank. Secure it for later. But HVVP, Vampire, LGD, all going down early. Blank, this is a pretty important setup.
I mean, some big teams, some heavy hitters that were looking to get ahead of the pack nice and early on. You got Alpha 7, who have historically done very well in PMGC for the Western region, looking to take things to the next level now. Unfortunately, over in their group, not able to quite top the tables. Now down to 3 players after taking a knock on their side. They're looking to bring things back up to speed, but currently over towards that northeast side, things are starting to look a little bit rough for them. Down 1 Gaming actually finding a knock down towards BTR. That's all the way on that south side, and BTR have to leave their compound, which could cause some real complications for them going forward.
A little bit of ruckus, to be sure. There's a lot of teams ahead of BTR as well, though. They're just going to have to go for a full health for leather crash. And you can see they're just making a really difficult decision at the moment. Zuxi down, Liquid last standing. Unfortunately, they're kind of caught out in the trap here. Unfortunate. But Box Gaming taking pretty heavy punishment as well. Shots are answering out to that northwestern side. That'll be being suppressed by Down 1. They are just setting up that line of fire, and there's very little that Box can do here.
I think for any team down towards this south side, Down 1 Gaming has done a perfect job, exactly what they needed to do, which was to clear out this northwest area. And now they're setting their sights down towards that south side where they know most of those compounds are. A lot of them have just been shunted out by the circle earlier on too. So setting themselves down there with the ridge line that they're able to find, it is a great position to play from. And now they can just take shots at any team that dares to even peek out to try and find any sight lines over towards them. Song peeks up, but finally teams are starting to get wise to this position, starting sending a few shots back their way. But Sung, again, eyes everywhere on the map for Down 1 at the moment, and that's BTR out.
Titan playing the other side of the sandwich. 6 eliminations, Down 1 on 7. Titan will have to push him behind Bacon Time on the compound that is currently now one of the 2 still left in it. Inko as well with a bastion, with an outpost on the northeast side of this circle. Blank, they have a pretty solid point to operate from. You can see they're already on 4 eliminations.
Not a bad result so far. I mean, Enigma Galaxy as well, 4 eliminations, 3 players. It looked a little bit dicey earlier on. Breaks out in the open. It was only a matter of time before Sal was able to find that shot. Scry also taking shots from out in the blue, but that thing does a lot of damage now. So that is curtains for Box Game. And they have 1 player, sends out forward in Trisme, able to perform some great clutches before. We'll see if he can actually try and do it again. But I don't know if it is possible from this type of position. Really, he's looking to live this one out. But already, 8 eliminations for Down 1 Gaming. They are really crushing in this lobby at the moment.
But they have spent their time in order to cash in on those eliminations now, Blank. They haven't moved forwards, they've just been playing on that ridge line. I think it's wise, get those confirmed elimination points where you can. As Box Gaming go down in 10th. Bacon Time now suffering as the push from Titans coming across from the south side. You've got a little bit of a swing from Aegon XI8 coming in from the east as well.
Always difficult playing from this spot that Titans are in. They know they have to push forward, but really, it's both Skylights Gaming and Bacon Time who have set themselves up very well. I mean, you take both sides of Mansion at the moment, you can comfortably hold it as a two-team split because that place is so big. And realistically, Skylights Gaming aren't going to worry about Bacon Time till later. They're performing very good duty for them as the guard dogs on that side of the Mansion itself. Voki goes down. Modi takes out the final member of 4 Rivals. Only one elimination in that game. And Enigma Galaxy still going strong, but losing Lord there, not ideal. Set apart in now a 1-1 split.
These teams on the south side going to have to figure out how to be good neighbors. Does Titan get caught out in the field? Ghost just able to get that done. Damwon actually crashing into the wall here. Should be just about covered from Inko's position, but everybody else got to be looking their way. Skylights Gaming, Bacon Time. Look at that. Such a close proximity fight here. Aegon XI8 might have broadside on Bacon Time if they crest this ridgeline, but Titan holding them back right now.
I mean, that is a nice Molotov. We'll clear off the position for now. But Damwon, they've got eyes on, and to be honest, a very successful push. Now Bacon Time actually taking the offensive here, sending up 3 players to just take shots down that side. This buggy set up in such a good way though, both of them placed in the same position. Yes, ideally used to crash in, but they've exploded all the vehicles now. As you can see, they provide decent cover as you look up this side. It's very difficult for Bacon Time to just swing around that corner and take easy shots. They have to expose themselves first. So Damwon Gaming, I think this is a very nice push for them. Again, tactical to a T at the moment.
They have augmented the reality that they find themselves in. Those buggies playing a big part. Titan on the south side playing with 3 Aegon XI8. Same story, very close to one another currently. This is what is stopping the fight from really popping off over towards Mansion. If Titan finds a pick, if Aegon XI8 take a crumble, looks like they might do. Puncher sneaks back behind the tree. Look at that, finding everything they're looking for on the sprays. Not really taking too much in response. Just Blade remains. A little bit of damage, sure, but they stay alive on 3. Sung swings out over in the meantime on the wall, but now Titan can move up and into this engagement. Sung looking to get that res from Forest. Not playing too far forwards. The shift goes away from Mansion, though.
Yeah, up towards Inko. You're in a great spot at the moment. Nenebete, seasoned player for PUBG Mobile. Looking for some more shots. Quite the passive team that he played on before, but now he's in a position where he can use a little bit more of that gun skill, that accuracy that we've seen from him to his advantage. Afia Boy does spot Forest. Damwon Gaming's doing a great job to hold on at the moment. With that circle moving away from it has made things extremely rough. And Nima's been waiting here the entire time, grenade in hand. It goes big as well.
They played their hand really very well, but sometimes you're just up against the Royal Flush. It's not going to work out for Damwon to go much further here, but 6th place, 10 eliminations. That's a great way to kick things off to your top 16 bid. Now we turn our attention over towards Inko, playing in that central position, the only team with 4 alive.
Struggle spot 4 though. That is any team towards that southwest side, currently in the Mansion, duking it out at the moment. This is the haunted Mansion though, and it's the ghosts of other players that have crashed onto it that will be trying to rake at you. Bacon's time, looking for some more. Shirty, it's fighting a little bit over towards Bodo. Skylight's trying to leave this position. Great spray transfer there.
Oh, nearly, but gets cut down by Mafia Boy. Shirty around the side, looking to sneak the shots through. Pops over the wall. A drop shot from Shirty's not quite good enough, but Noise is there, unfortunately. They don't really have a lot of time to go for this res. It will be shutting fairly soon. Looks like they have cover from the wall. And in the meantime, Enigma Galaxy have been holding out on this northeast side.
Massively present though in this game. Despite everything being down out to a 1-1 split with the 2 players they still afford to them. 2 players on Bacon Time as well. Team that just missed out on that grand final qualification spot in 4th place over in Group Green. Looking to take it home there, John, but weren't able to. And now Enigma Galaxy, I think for them, this is so important. Starting off the survival stage strong for Enigma Galaxy after what has to be one of the saddest downfalls of a team from 3 days, from 2nd all the way down to 12th. It's a good grenade to start and good damage as well, because Inko has not been able to move very much at all.
There's hardly any loot on their side, hardly anything to dissuade these players.
How did Hamodi make that cross? I mean, Vitaly seemed like he had a broadside there, maybe too worried about Bacon Time's duo, and now both teams are managing to make their way forward. Stigma Galaxy are right up on the wall. Finally, Hamodi does go down to squash. They might want to push in, but Bacon Time are still here. Vitaly falls. A nice little flush out from Freak. Last player standing for Enigma Galaxy, and in comes Shirty from Bacon Time, and all of a sudden, Inco lose 2 of their players. They're drawing even on numbers, and it's all to play for.
Bacon Time hears the shooting, they hear the commotion, and they realize how long Inco's been here. You can see there's no meds, absolutely no utility for Inco to keep any teams at bay. But again, they drop the stopwatch, wait for the time to be right, and now they move in. Bacon Time looking to hit this one hard.
No nades for Noise, unfortunately. Can't put one in to Squash's shack. Shirty, I imagine he doesn't have a nade either. Difficult to get that nade through, but it looks like Shirty would have the angle if he had any. No, doesn't have any utility. So Bacon Time completely dry on pretty much everything as well. Just wondering how much Enigma Galaxy have to spare. Look at that. Noise, no meds either. No stims active. Goodness me. Everybody's run completely dry here for the final zone.
You've got Inco, Enigma Galaxy, and Bacon Time all walking into a compound. One will leave with the punchline, that is the chicken dinner. See which team it is, no utility at all. Hamodi's running with bandages right now, able to get himself up to fairly decent health pool. Squash refusing to move, but both these teams will have to drop into this compound. It is so central. So as the 9th zone starts to shrink, the question is who can get in? I mean, Shirty's able to maybe drop some smokes. Oh, smokes.
No, I don't think anybody has any utility
Noah's got
on the outside.
nothing.
There's a Molotov from Squash. That's big, actually. Repositions Shirty, but does give Squash's position away. Has some more to play with as the zone is closing. Shirty takes a couple ticks from the Molotov. Hamodi super low. Remember, he's only playing on bandages right now. Will be having to churn through them, but the zone is closing, Black.
There's a limited amount of time that you can go for the heal. Freak, though, moving on the side like a Viper.
Big, has an angle, lines them up, knocks them down. Bacon Time fall, and now it's just Enigma Galaxy who've been playing quiet on the northeast side. Nobody was challenging them. 3rd place for Bacon Time, and Enigma Galaxy move in. Squash in the shack, looking to try and control the close, but Freak is there, has got the auto shotgun, and it could be the difference maker here. Freak reloading both. Hamodi playing low on the bandages, and there's the shotgun from the top rope. It's all up to Hamodi. Becker out the door, will get sprayed down, and Hamodi in a 1 versus 1 now. Inco on the inside, they've been holding for so long, and it looks like the close will be going Hamodi's way. Forces the challenge to come from Squash, and the shotgun around the side is going to make it work. Inco, take it down.
An incredible rough game there for Inco at the end. I mean, they played it out as long as they could, but a great distract coming through from Hamodi towards the end side there to get Freak round the side to hit up a great little spray down to both the players from Bacon Time, who honestly hadn't played their hearts out in that game. They had a lot of tough fights to make their way through. We're looking at Skylight's game even being harassed by Titans as well as Dam1 to get there to 3rd place. So the amount of eliminations they had, you've got to give a big congratulations to Bacon Time. But Inco, with barely anything left, they play with the scraps, they play with the crumbs, they're able to make at least something, and a little bit of a hello to the fans as well, which is always good to see.
Really is. What a way to close that down. Inco qualifying in that 11th place from Group Green as well. So getting a chicken dinner early, as we were saying, it's only 12 games in this current... Sorry, well, it would be 12 games per team in this current set, with 18 games being played total. So to get 1/12 of those out the way with a pretty big chicken dinner there, actually, on those totals blank, it's going to be good news.
Yeah, you really do need those big totals for them. Bacon Time, though, I feel like they're playing up to snuff. To be honest with you, Bacon Time hitting a 241 at the end of Group Green. Not able to qualify behind Fireflux with 248. So it was close for Bacon Time, honestly. Similarly for VPE, who are just underneath them with 237 points. But they went out extraordinarily early. I think you can kind of excuse that, though, from the chokehold that Dam1 Gamer were able to hold on that northwest side for so long, John. It was absolutely amazing, but a great chicken dinner for Inco Gaming to start off their survival stage.
there for their group, which is a really tough position, but amazing start for them in the survival stage to kick it off. And man, squash Sandstorm with that shotgun at the end. It was a clutch moment. I was a little bit spooked out. I didn't know if it was going to work out, but the shotgun play really
between Enigma Galaxy towards the end, but Inco got gifted so many zones. We saw they moved, what, 5,000 meters? 5.5? Nothing really compared to all the other squads. And and considering the fact that they didn't really have that much loot to work.
It came down to that simultaneous push out of Enigma Galaxy and Bacon Time. This was a nade that went in. I think they knocked in a Bete. And then that's when Bacon Time was like, okay, we're going to push with Enigma Galaxy here and make it really difficult for them. As we check in out with our fan favorite vote here, S2G taking the lead so far. Bigatron there in second. Remember, you guys can watch then the Esports Center in-game. You guys can vote for your favorite teams. Interesting to see S2G leading.
For once, it's not DRS. No,
That's
what I was waiting for.
I was like, wait a minute, it was DRS maybe not an option, but no, they have to be, right? But yeah, SG were looking really good when they did qualify. And we even saw some players at one point from Inco like throwing ammo to one another, and they were just playing shotgun because they just were out of resources. They had nothing to play with. That's just how long of a position they were holding on to this entire match. But not only the end game was super interesting, but you got the fight over in the west with 4 teams fighting, trying to get that position, which eventually Damwon did win. The fight in the south, where I would have to say, Jason, Titan surprised me with how aggressive they felt this game. Like, we didn't see this Titan in the group stage, but this is Titan 2.0, and I love to see it.
I mean, I feel like we've seen them have some decent results. We've seen them have some decent elimination games, but they're kind of like far and few between. And again, maybe this is just like the one game they need to look pretty solid for top 16. And obviously the time they've had off Sandstorm since the initial week we had kickoff with Group Red, there's been a lot of time. There's been time for a team to practice, to watch their opponents, and I think this is maybe a team that really came prepared today.
Yeah, definitely, and we've seen them come out very, very strong in the first day of Group Red as well. So this is something that's consistent when it comes to their first day of performing on the tournament. But like we said before, this is 3 days. It's going to be 18 matches, and you have to perform on every single one of them. But you do have a huge chance of making it to the next stage just by staying in the top 16. I wanted to talk about a little bit when it comes to the, I guess when it came to the rotation of Alpha 7, even though they and Inco drop in the same locations, Inco was the one that came out with the chicken dinner, and Alpha 7 wasn't even able to get to Zone 6. They were just getting destroyed by 4 Rivals All and Enigma Galaxy as well towards the eastern side of the zone. So you can see 2 teams dropping in very close locations to where the zone was, but it was just Inco just staying still for the entire time, and they got the chicken dinner towards the end.
Well, as we turn our attention towards our next match, going to be on Miramar. You can see your boys LGD, Max, man, leading the charge when it comes to these rank points, and also competing quite well when it comes to eliminations. I mean, the downside is there's only going to be 2 a day, but also there's a lot of other good teams here that are strong on Miramar, like we saw with Alpha 7.
Exactly, Alpha 7 looking good, and I8 too, which I didn't think were actually going to be our top performers of Miramar. And I did want to touch that on the pre-show when we did see that one of your teams to watch here, Sandstorm, you did put I8. I8 have been secretly consistent during the entire group stage. I think the one improvement we could expect to see from I8 is being able to convert good games into potential chicken dinners. I think that is the step up I would love to see from I8, and if they make it happen, Sandstorm, I think that could be the opportunity to make in the last chance, and who knows, maybe the grand finals.
Maybe. I think they don't really need to pull it out right now. As long as they stay in the top 16, bring it out when you have to get to that top 5. Then maybe you could surprise absolutely everyone. That's what I would be waiting to see from them.
All right, we'll take a look at our teams to watch here. We got Damwon coming out of Maximum, Titan HVVP. We got Alpha 7 Titan and Enigma coming out of Sandstorm. Let's go into the Damwon pick actually really quickly, Max, man. Team we saw have great success last year at PMGC, and we love this team as much as one person possibly can. But why'd you go with Damwon here for Miramar?
Because of that last game, Jason. I have no idea how they survive as 4 players. They were fighting initially, being gate kept, I believe it was by LGD on the western side. They had to cross the road too. They get third party by HVVP. Then there's a 4th party happening with, I believe that's Vampire at the time. An absolute mess, and yet they just wither the storm in that position, looking absolutely fantastic and remaining as 4 players. And also, I believe we're seeing Gosal play. I do not recall seeing him play in the league stage, and he was having a great impact in this game. So they were just seeming very confident, which is the type of mindset I'd like to see Damwon in for the entirety of the survival stage. So they looked really high in that first game, and I want to see if they can keep it up in this next match.
Okay, well, Sandstorm, you both had Titan picked. What was your reason for going for Titan? Just, I'm assuming, pretty much similar to what Max just said, because of the performance from the last match.
Yeah, just from the last match and from how strongly they started off on day one of their groups, I'm expecting them to do exactly the same thing here on day one of the survival stage.
Yeah.
Definitely going to see them in the next stage of the tournament as well.
Are you doing the same thing to Nigma as you're doing to RA? Yeah, I would
100%.
stop predicting them
Oh,
right
look,
now.
look. It took one game, okay? It took one game for me to be just all aboard the hype train for Nigma Galaxy all over again. I'm ready to get heartbroken. Let's go.
Well, speaking of getting heartbroken, right? I mentioned before before the first match kicked off. I mean, Nigma Galaxy, they had a great day one when it came to Group Red, but the problem was great day 2 and 3. Their top result was, I believe, actually no, they only had a top 8, I believe it was, on day 2. Or no, one top 5 in day 2 and day 3. I had to make sure to correct my notes there. That's a rough time, and they cannot afford to have a ton of bad games. But again, 12 matches in total to come for them, 11 left to go, and it's time for us to go to the casters to kick off our Miramar here. So John, Allen, and Blake, take it away.
Of course it is. Thank you very much, Jason. We're going to be heading into Miramar. Of course, we took a look at those stats, Blank, from each of the team's performances on Miramar. The difficulty there is, of course, that they're playing in different lobbies, right? So it's going to be really interesting to see how those stats butt heads with each other.
Yeah, it's going to be wildly different from lobby to lobby. I mean, even just circles in particular. However, it does give us a general idea of what's going on. I think similar to Max's conclusion there, I was also a little bit, surprised that we'd see IA up towards that top side so very far. And I think that they did have a fantastic conclusion to Group Red, because they just looked like they were getting better and better and better, and kind of came as a bit of a surprise for everyone at the end. You're like, wait, I8's doing insane at the moment. This is after they lost Crypto as well. They were asked about it, and they were saying, we're just going to get on with it. And I think that's kind of a very respectable attitude, right? It's like, look, we may have lost what is our supposed star player. However, we are just going to get out the polyfill, make sure those gaps are filled themselves, and then sort it out from there. And I think they absolutely have done that. They look a lot stronger. Even that last game, you saw them go down, but they were playing from probably the hardest part in the circle as well, and got very far, and only fell to Titans after some time, once Titans had relieved that pressure between them and Bacon time.
For this Miramar, I am going to be keeping my eyes on Alpha 7. Blank. That's the team that I'm going to be looking out for. We saw over in Group Green that their Miramar performance was pretty stellar, so I'm hoping that they're going to be able to carry that forwards into this game. HVVP also found a little bit of success on Miramar, so I'm hoping that they can do better than a 0-point game to bring in for their second showing.
Absolutely. I think for Alpha 7, you bring a good point. They are a very good team on Miramar. And I mean, it didn't really show through over in Americas, though, purely because Influence Kemin was just that good. And taking a lot of their drop spots, well, not their drop spots, but a lot of their rotational paths, and making it very difficult for them to find their way into circles. So they were having to take unideal injections towards that circle itself, trying to push through other teams. But now, given the space and the freedom without some of these other teams that were in Americas that were stopping them, Alpha 7's had a little bit more free reign over on Miramar. And it's great to see. I mean, watching Group Green as well, John, you are right. Alpha 7 did look great here. So I am excited to see what they can do during this survival stage.
I think the only other Americas team in the tournament at the moment is Vivo Keyed as well, also coming from Brazil. In Group Yellow, so they won't be playing today. So there'll only be 6 games where they're playing against anybody else who's been in those Americas lobbies. It's probably more worrisome, though, to be playing against the rest of the Group Green survival stage qualifiers, as they will be a little bit more on the download. Lane path cuts from La Copeteria down to Los Higos on the western side a little bit, but it looks fairly open in terms of rotation paths. Teams should be able to get to pretty much everywhere on the map.
I think everywhere is pretty clean, like you say, but with that kind of circle all the way up towards that top right side, Cruz de Valle, El Azahar, Tierra Bronca, quite a lot of interesting space here heading down towards El Azahar, where it's quite high. There's very, very big peaks over towards that side, but the rest of that area of the map quite flat. So compounds, which it does have a fair plenty in that region, should be very important to some of these teams. But again, it's getting up there in time. The map is huge, and you want to get to some of your original drop spots first, get looted before you send your way up. So you will be heading in towards uncharted territory for a lot of these teams that weren't necessarily considering dropping over towards this side of the map anyway, with such a western playing path in the beginning.
A little bit of time on the cards to be playing with The good news is that that drop won't take long, so the loot phase in that southwest area will be a little bit shorter. And they'll be able to get on the road again as soon as they like, but still have to snaffle up a little bit of loot on the way. HVVP on the north side. 4 rivals making that rotate early over towards the north side of Torre Armada, and should be looking to play on that north side of the circle, and will be on the backstop, really, of the progression of a lot of these teams. HVVP will likely swing in on that northern side as well, and I'm imagining teams like El Pozo on Northern Road.
Could definitely go for that one. You could also definitely go for a 2022 PMGC special crate, which is from December 5th all the way through to January 8th. So you have a bit of time to prepare for that one. Make sure you do grab your hands all over it, because we know from previous PMGC special crates just how beneficial and amazing the loot has been inside.
Yeah, make sure you are checking that one out, getting it into those inventories, get it sorted out, get looted. That's all these teams are looking to do right now. DRS all the way on the south side, playing with an SLR and a DBS, Giganti. And they're probably going to be swinging out towards Impala on that coastal road. No teams in Impala right now, so that east road is a little bit open, or more open than maybe some teams are expecting, but with the plane path as it was, you've got to think that some teams have an inkling that that eastern side is going to be a little bit safer.
It might be a rotational path that some of these teams go for. I mean, for a couple others as well, with the plane path taking quite a while to head all the way down, and then the actual circle popping up might be a consideration. They drop out slightly earlier and then just head with a slightly easier direction straight towards the circle, just beelining it in there. I think for HVP, definitely a team that can go for something like that, you know. They could just head from Cabrera all the way over that top side towards Torre Armada. 4 rivals are sitting up there right now, getting situated nice and early and looting up the majority of it. There was a lot of decisions, a lot of options available to these teams with this kind of plane path and this circle. I mean, you're getting teams like Power and Box heading in right now and just looting up nice and early and trying to take as many of these compounds as possible, knowing that a lot of these other teams already have their positions on the map and will be looting there for quite some time. So the entirety of the circle should be fairly open. There's not going to be a lot of players in here, especially with Miramar being such a big map. BTR now finally making the move out from Picardo. Obviously, haven't had the best game over on the ranked. Start off with only 1 point game after that last one. I think you're looking for BTR. It is one of those days where you look at them and you're like, I think they can get towards those higher placings, those higher rankings. But they're a team that tends to strike quite late on in the game. So if you see not a lot of eliminations in the first 15 minutes, it's not always game over.
Not always. Can be tricky to try and keep those ones rolling. Northern side, LGD on the road from the north side of Pozzo. Looks like they are going to be moving in and potentially past HVVP if HVVP don't get on the road now. Tixi, taking his classic south outpost position from La Condoria, will be overseeing this rotation, so HVVP should be aware that this is incoming. We'll see if HVVP respond with aggression or if they're just going to try and get ahead of the curve, get into position early. Teams moving into El Azahar, you've got 2 teams, it looks like Power have made their way on in, as well as Box Gaming towards that El Azahar position on the eastern side of the circle. DRS making a rotation on the east side past Puerto Paraíso now, as BTR sent straight up the middle between Inco and Vampire Esports to make it fairly central on the circle.
Yeah, like you said earlier, John, there is that open space over towards Impala, which DRS are 100% taking advantage of. HVP, a lot of shots coming their way from LGD as Tixi tries to get into position. Power has been spotted by Box. I mean, Power was here from the start of the game. Box were making their way in from the western side across Hacienda del Patron all the way to this side. They're able to immediately dismount Power from a position they've held onto for quite a while now. I've had a lot of time to pick up and figure out where teams are coming in, what direction they're sending in on as well. I think that's a little bit unfortunate. Tixi also in a struggle bus of a position, but the rest of the team providing backup.
Tixi takes his toll. 1 goes down, low HP around the side as well. Maybe looking for a cheeky little second peek over onto YZ, who's not finding the damage. And Tixi finds a second. What a knock-on from HVVP. They close it down, and LGD are suffering at
भाई
their
ऊपर
hands
से ही दे
really
दिया है
heavily. What a clean wipe there from HVVP.
भाई साहब
Tixi, masterfully held.
क्या ही
That's pure
ये भाई
destruction
मारा
as
है
well,
भाई
and I think for Tixi, played that position
तो हम तो
very,
लूंगा
very
बचाएंगे
well
डाउ
from the
का हम तो
backstop,
कंपेयर
managed to
हैं
move in, made himself look almost like a bit of a lost lamb in the circle itself, hence heads over towards the compound, and realistically for LGD, they think they're the predators, but unfortunately, they did become the prey towards the end there, and HVP were able to pick up all those points. Again, this is something that you
Gada,
mentioned,
gada.
like they're very used to this, and it's a
है
classic
इसके मिल
spot
लो
from Tixi.
अरे भाई
But even
जूने
Western
जूने
Europe,
से
they
जो भी
dealt with
बंदे
the fact that
देखने
Mad Bulls
देख
played
रहे
a
हो
very
भाई
similar
लाइक कर दो
rotation
भाई
to LGD over in
50 का लाइक
the European
100 का लाइक
Championships.
पूरा कर
STG
दो
are even in this area, so HVP have had a long time to make sure that this rotation,
भाई
make
100
sure that
लाइक का
every
एम है
single
भाई
spot
पूरा
is
कर दो सब
covered.
लोग मिल
They
के
have so much practice. It's almost not a surprise that something like that happens when LGD tries to challenge it.
But this is the second time in a row, Blank. 2 in a row. LGD have gone down in 16th place. This is not the team that we were expecting coming in
inside.
from 4th place in Group Red, right?
not inside.
They were not really challenging for 3rd place towards the end, but they were definitely in contestation for those top 3, and we have seen them go down first twice. This is a really hard northern shift. Look at
Massive.
that, all the way up, and HVVP, they're laughing.
Yeah, this is great for HVP. They come off the back of a fight that delays them. They're a bit worried about that, but they're happy with the 4 eliminations able to pick up. Now they have to make their way into the circle. Circle, very happy to send up towards that northern side, and HVP will just send directly in. So very good stuff there. I8 taking a fair amount of fire. This is from VPE, who are now on the chase. Obviously, hanging back and taking shots like that as a team does now leave you exposed, and I8 might be able to set up on the other side, but still all open, ready to take shots, and that's Ghost out the vehicle, and that is a pick that they desperately needed from VPE. If they had allowed a little bit more space, if they'd allowed the players to get all the way over that ridge, it could have been game over. So if I8 now losing a player, it's very important. VPE can't capitalize on it. Goodness me, not good.
Looks like Schweppes and Ravenclaw will be moving forwards against Aegon XA8. Trying to take a little bit of an answer, or at least draw some aggression their way, but Fluke is down on a pretty rolling flat hillside. Not going to be good news for them. Stoned, the only one really in position to go for this res, actually Schweppes, moving all the way back down to the teammate to try and control this. This is not in the next circle. Aegon XA actually taking shots, coming from Stoned behind the ridge, behind the rock. And Fluke might actually be able to get rezzed here as Ravenclaw swings back in towards that roadside.
I like this about VPE. They're very malleable when it comes to these engagements. Able to quickly send in and then send back out again. And that gave enough time for I8 to be almost in disadvantageous positions, right? With Stone been already be able to set up back here with the Mini 14 in hand, with great sightlines over towards them, it means that I8 now really have an option ahead of them. It's either stay here and fight VPE, who most likely will have 4 players up in a second, or just leave, which either way gives VPE more space to play with. BTR takes a knock there. Now, you were talking about LGD, John, and I do want to talk about this because they were a bounce-back team over in Group Red, able to make the big comeback to get towards the top of the tables. And if they started performing a little bit earlier, maybe they would have seen them in the top 3. Unfortunately, that was not the case.
It's like
BTR versus Power.
I'll hold that thought for a second because Bigatron locked horns now with power around the side of the rock as he's doesn't want to challenge off against Luxy. Gem Foster in the meantime though suffering and actually finding a second as well onto Liquid, leaving 2 players now active for Bigatron. Gem Foster and Liquid both going down, and he's just the twins remaining now. Luxy and Zuxi a little bit further away. Luxy much closer. You might prefer it the other way around, but unfortunately they don't have that liberty. The nade bobbles down, doesn't quite find all the damage they were looking for. Luxy spotted, does get suppressed. Zuxi on the ridgeline, holding it down for his twin, but only finds the 1 knock, and you've got to think that Luxy is going to fall in this scenario. Bigatron, potential to go down to 1 after just 1 elimination as well. Power taking them to task.
I mean, Kante's been playing a really nice off angle here throughout the entirety of that engagement. Just relying on the rest of the team with the high ground to hold back the guys from BTR, allowed Kante to set up in a good spot to get a couple of eliminations across. And again, BTR looking at going down fairly early here with just the 1 elimination again, which is not ideal. Again, Group Red will be playing all their games today, or half of their games today. With another one coming in later during the survival stage. In the meantime, HVP absolutely decimate the guys from the Galaxy over on that northwest side. But yeah, if you're going down early, consistently from any of the groups today, you know, you're playing out 6 of your games. That's half of your matches. So you don't have that time to regroup and rethink the process as you get rotated in, because we are just having static groups playing each day.
Yeah, there really is no way to figure this one out. You just got to play from the heart and get it done. But unfortunately for LGD, it's been a poor start. Galaxy, you're on the hype train before. Maybe you're going to have to take a pause, a refreshment break. Hopefully the cart's coming down the aisle, because it is not looking super strong for them. Going down 1 elim, 15th place.
I mean, Max did tell Sandstorm. He said
he did say
you
that.
need to unpredict them right now, or at least unwatch them, because this is not good news for Enigma Galaxy. Yes, they start off strong, 22 points, but I am seeing something that reminds me of a horrible, horrible time we saw in Group Red. Is Enigma Galaxy starting out in 2nd place. Almost a cursed position for them at the moment. HVP really doing well on the northern side. Moves away from those, so they will have to head down towards the south. But so far, they have 2 teams that they've been able to comfortably loot as well. So they should have a lot of utility after those engagements, a lot of ammo to play through. So I think that it's not as rough as it looks for HVP, because they have that power, they have that presence now to be able to punch through a lot of these difficult situations that will come ahead of them.
Bacon time on the eastern side. Moving in from Tierra Bronca, moving up the hill. Shirty leading the charge. Ice close behind. Hawks Gaming sit atop it right now. And this mountain on the east side is going to have some really solid sight lines and a lot of cover actually for Bacon time, if they can cower in the shadow of it. But unfortunately for them, might move away. Well, fortunately this time around it doesn't. It will keep them in for now.
Still a decent spot to play from, honestly, because you do have a lot of the stages you can creep up towards. Yes, Box Gaming currently hold that high ground, but it means they're not in the sightlines of maybe Damwon, who are holding on the eastern side. Now, Matic, dangerously close, has made some of these very, very close calls before when it comes to that scouting. Uh-oh. And just like that, does get knocked out as I talk about it. So, I mean, at least he's consistent about it. That's all I'll say. But that does mean that information has been passed across, but HVP sadly down to now 2 players. 8 eliminations, though, it's still a good game, regardless of what happens henceforth. I mean, 8 eliminations, 8 points. That is essentially one of the higher placings in the lobby. So you're not too unimpressed with that. Getting a 4th place off the back, I mean, 15 minutes in, already securing that is great news for them. Unfortunately, because of that last game, only getting 0 points, that 8 points might not cut it right now.
Yeah, it leaves them with a 4-point average if it were all to come crashing down at the moment. They're going to want more than that, certainly. Ooh, Nene Bete nailing a couple of headshots there. And UZM finding out all about it. 2 players down from the south side. Bacon time just poking over the top of the hill now on the eastern edge as Box have moved a little bit further west. Not the entirety of Bacon time at the moment have regrouped. Ice still left at the backstop. Will have to cross fairly soon as the circle will push on in, but has a little bit more time to play with. HVVP making their dash. Meku pulled out. Alpha 7 the ones to do so. I wonder if Kitsune's managed to make it. Looks like they are still alive for now. Full HP as well. Solo player, but still alive.
Power quite close to him. But worried about this. Obviously get into position, which is good news for now, but again, now just has to live from that position. I think that's what they were going for, is just to head down towards these ridge sides where there's a lot of ditches, a lot of areas where you can hide behind rocks and just play out as a solo or a duo. It's sad that Meku goes down, so they can't play off one another, which HVP are generally very good at, which is playing as a 2-man unit, regardless of whoever is in that 2-man unit. Going forward as a solo, needs to get a little bit more. I mean, 13 teams remaining. It's a long road ahead for HVP. 8 eliminations, still nothing to scoff at. But again, like you talked about earlier, John, 4-point average. not good enough at this stage. Damwon Gaming, on the other hand, still playing this excellent edge play style, trying to control the majority of the northeast this time, as opposed to the northwest. Looking down towards Bacon Time and Box.
The thing that we saw HVVP suffering from in their final day's gameplay was just losing players early, having those little bits, those little chunks taken out of them, and eventually succumbing to the fact that they didn't have that full 4 squad. And we wanted them to tighten it up and keep their flanks covered, but it just wasn't happening. There, unfortunately, they lost a player to the fight in a full 4 with Enigma Galaxy, and they were down to 3, and losing Matic on that off angle earlier leaves them fairly weakened. Now they're just a Kitsune. Circle shifts. Southwest side is fairly occupied, but they are all still in it. Alpha 7 still going, and the team right on the edge of that encampment there. Eastern side, Box Gaming atop the hill will have to leave, will have to descend, as will Bacon Time.
A lot of these teams kind of caught up in an awkward situation now over on the southwest side. Yeah, Alpha 7, Inco, Skylights, as well as I8, all clumped up in this area. I think for A7, they could actually wait out for quite some time here for some of these other teams to have to leave. Skylights Gaming starting out strong though at the moment from Nepali for 13 eliminations, 1 point on this game so far. It's not too bad. Send themselves through towards that last chance. 4 rivals though have the vast share of the circle at the moment towards that northern side, looking to redeem themselves after that last game going down very early, losing a couple of players, and then from there it was just bleeding out.
4 rivals, 2-2 split right now, either side of the road on the north edge. Bacon Time under pressure after a swift insert to the circle, but the nades looking pretty good, looking on target. A little bit of scurrying action coming through from Bacon Time, making him squeal there. And a nade right on the money for Ice. Will be able to catch it. Unfortunately, it's not ideal when what you're catching is an HE. Not good for business. Bacon Time really going to struggle to go for this res as well. They will have to re-smoke. They'll have to invest a lot of time. The Schweppes is now in conflict with Titans. Their outpost there, Teak, moving on up and actually has a little bit of cover. Repositions wide, gets to a divot, hits the deck. Might be able to heal here. Smoke blooms.
Yeah, VP looking to bump the points this game. When you get towards the top. And 1 elimination so far, 4 players. It's all the way down that south side. They have a really nice ridge to play from, but only for so long. I mean, next circle, when that does pop, it's going to become ever more difficult to play from that position. Down 1, really taking things slow still on that northeast side. Now for 7, like I said earlier, this is what they were waiting for. Teams to start to leave, then they can take shots at anyone that tries to get out of there. Inco, though, Nenebete has been on an absolute storm today, just hurricaning through a lot of these teams, picking up points where he can, adding them to the Tempest. So we'll see what Nenebete can do with the rest of this one. But right now, he's the sole member that's really propping up Inco.
I have to agree with you. I mean, constantly and consistently a standout player for the roster. Inco really needed at a time like this. Converting off of a chicken dinner as well would be really, really good news to post even a decent game. Like 8 points on the cards would be amazing for them right now. In terms of confidence, if nothing else. This circle is really, really tricky with the amount of open ground here. Blank, there's so much dead area that sits on this eastern edge. It's going to be tricky.
I mean, no one wanted to head there in the first place. Like most players just on the edges. Kitsune's down. It's HVP out. 8 eliminations. It's okay. Not the worst thing in the world. VPE now looking to finish off the final members of Titans. Great nade goes to the top. Molotov to send Puncher up their way. And he's pretty much done-zoed at this point in time. 6
Oh,
off the
Vampire
distance.
scored knock hai bhai.
VPE
Titan
do
Gaming
take
versus
a knock in
Vampire.
Schweppes, but
Vampire.
easily res back up again. Next circle shifts up towards that north side. So Titans, VPE will all have to move, as will DRS and Power. DRS really staying out of dodge for quite some time here. It looks like they're trying to prioritize getting through the survival stage. But right now, we've only 2 points accrued throughout the entirety of these 2 matches. Not amazing.
Alpha 7 lost 2 on their attempted strike towards the circle from that western side. They're not out of it just yet. You did see them just pop up in the elimination feed. think that was over towards Inco, who are just a little bit ahead of the curve on it. 6 gets away from the spray of stone. Vampire still playing as 4. Will be on that south side. They do have that ridge line to move up, so they can get a little bit closer to the circle. DRS not so lucky. Look at this dead ground blank. Look at the openness that you see here. These circles are just so difficult to play.
I mean, this is the deadly paw print, honestly, on the map. It is real difficult. No one wants to head down here. It's like these mini craters.
Oh, Alpha 7 का दो ही
Essentially a
बंदे
paw
हैं.
print formation, but yeah, it's difficult. It's rough to get
They
through
can
this
then
area.
break,
Most teams didn't want to play
Yeah,
early. It's
that's
why you see most of these teams
They
on
can
the
then
edge at the
yeah.
moment.
DRS,
Bacon time
yeah.
goes down with 0 eliminations. I mean, they were struggling for a
BWG.
while to get up from that eastern side. They were hoping for an eastern shift to give them a bit more time to recalibrate where they were going to head next. Damwon Gaming, they lost 1 player. Fortunately, Forest does go down. Osal moves away. Fabian taking shots from Rules. That's a mini 14 coming through. And I think for DRS, they do have a good lineup, but wherever they head next as they get further into the circle, again, open ground, low ground, shots coming through from a lot
भाई
of teams
smoke
should
करने
hit.
मारे भाई
Already Pamburu is finding the
DRS के बंदे
target.
को.
Ooh, difficult descent for DRS, but Rules
Yeah,
is repositioned by the blue. Shots are answering. Pamburu with the mini 14 of his own, peppering away.
Vampire
Power
गया.
under pressure from Vampire. Ravenclaw down, so it's a 1-for-1 trade as these gets flushed.
Power पर से बेचारा है. कौन जीतेगा भाई? Guess करो.
Over the top, doesn't quite find what they're looking for. Fluke repositions to get the res on the Vampire South fight. Power really struggling on that engagement. Box, 3 players
भाई
up and
DRS के
standing.
बंदे
Trismate is not
बंदे
going
का
to
तो गया.
reposition coming through to try and get that one back to strength.
3 knock
Will
है.
be pretty crucial here in a central position to hold it out. DRS just cannot make this headway.
I mean, you look at Box and their rotation early on was fantastic. They got straight through, over towards Power's position. They were holding for a while, immediately dismounted them off of it. And they've had kind of free reign over the circle for a long while. They found themselves in a good
Vampire
spot.
Gaming भी
Over
निकलने
towards
सकता
that
है.
northern side now, playing around the ridges, cutting off some sight lines. Power
वो
final
power के बंदे गया.
player now down towards this bottom side, and Kante behind the hay bales. A VP up to 6 eliminations. They're really putting the work in here.
Going down early in the previous game seems to have spurred some of these teams onwards. HVVP, 8 eliminations. Vampire now up to 6 with 10 remaining, and all 4 of themselves alive. These good news, but they're right on the edge of the circle. Could be tricky, especially with the circle shifting up the way it has. 4 rivals potentially looking to take dominant control. DRS finally going down now.
Box take the knock from VPE. Down towards the south side. Not been an easy push for VPE, honestly. Getting hesitated over by I8 as they try to crest that ridge line.
Inco Gaming भाई
Moving
सब.
up, it has been all guns a-blazing the entire time for VPE on their
इसका लग के एक
approach.
तो बंदे knock.
Very rough, but now just setting directly over towards Box's position after finding that
Box
first
Gaming
knock.
versus Vampire भाई.
Lucas goes down, but it might be enough for VPE here.
ओ बार का 2 बंदे knock. यार क्या हुआ यार?
And caught in the crossfire there. Schweppes does have an off angle, but doesn't quite find the lick to Trisway that they needed. Soaz is down, Break is down. It really is all up to Box here. Last player standing. Titan in the meantime, their last player's making a break for it, trying to get towards the circle, but that's going to be tricky. Soaz flushed. Vampire will be able to take Box Gaming to task. That central position is opened up, but Vampire lost 2 in the process. What? Hang on a minute. I thought he was dead to rights, but Titan is staying alive. Last player making that move. Inco cannot find the shot. Squash, last player standing now for the squad. Alpha 7 is still going. Squash finally able to take down the last player from Skylights Gaming, but in the meantime, 6 has moved all the way up, and Squash in danger here. Getting caught from the off angle, it's Alpha 7 chiming in.
And that's Becker down from Squash himself. From Titans actually able to find some of those shots, so difficult push. Inco down, Alpha 7 out. In 6th place, not the worst result in the world, but VPE, masterclass on how to make these pushes work. Trading off players where they can, but they always make those trades count. I think that's the main thing you have to keep in mind when you look at VPE. Fortunately, Kante wasn't able to be taken down by VPE earlier on, and now is proving a bit of an issue. 4 rivals could get involved, but Schweppes will finally find him. Very good with the M4 throughout the majority has been Schweppes. And the Thailand representative is really doing work here at PMGC.
Vampire Esports looking for the res. Ravenclaw has the off angle, slows down one down, but does nothing more than that. Makes them hit the deck, forced to reload. And Stone shot out again, just swept now as 4 rivals want their pound
Oh,
of flesh.
4 rival was a
DBS
Wimpart.
around the sidelines, Traps just
Oh.
does not give a damn at this stage.
Why?
If the deck stays
But
alive,
0 HP by
unfortunately, I
itself.
don't think you're going to be able to get that heal
Gaya.
off. I just don't
Vampire
think you
gaya
have
bhai.
cover. Fabian sees to
Eliminate
it.
Vampire.
Vampire eliminated. They made their run and it was strong.
DRS versus
Now
4 rival.
rivals versus Down 1. Down 1 coming off the back of a really strong
Down
game
1
one.
versus 4
Looking
rival
for
by
more.
itself.
5 eliminations and they want the rest of them as well. A nade over the top, 4 rivals down to 2. 2 players active for Down 1 as well. Fabian and Osal.
I mean, the fact that Appy makes a very awkward push upwards and immediately goes down now gives an opportunity for Down 1 Gaming to get up into
Down 1
position and
versus 4
maybe
rival.
take this fight. If Voki goes down, this is even Stevens. Looking to finish the fight now is Down 1 Gaming. A 2v4, looking to make it happen. Nade over the top, should be on target, do some damage, maybe, but not. Does not get the information, which is not amazing, but they will at least confirm one player. Another nade, tries to
Chicken
get
4
behind the
rival
rocks
chicken
here,
ले
John.
सकते हैं वो भी ले सकते हैं भाई.
Tommy gun in hand. Fabian moving through. Osal also 2 Tommy guns here.
दोनों टीम से कोई भी
Original
chicken ले
gangsters
सकता है.
coming on through. 4 down 1, and we've seen how powerful they can be on these ridge lines, how impactful they can have an effect on this lobby. But in a 2 versus 3 now after the res has come through. Might be tricky. Appy does have that close range power in hand as well. A cheeky couple of shots might be all it takes, but they're right on the edge, and Down 1 have to fight outwards. They've
अरे 4
spotted
rival
Appy,
के बंदे का
Fabian
ग्रेनेड करो उस
on
साइड
the
यार.
trail.
क्या कर रहे हैं 4 rival के
Can't
बंदे?
really commit though at this stage. The nades from over the top, they know how dangerous it is.
Looking to get a bit of a resupply over here from the players from VPE. You wonder if 4 Rivals are able to loot any of this, or if VPE had anything left. But they had to tear their way through from that south side to get into position. Regardless of what happens, that was a good game from VPE. We can expect to see some more from them going forward. Avian just looking out towards Appy's side, making sure to clear out this angle. They tried to accelerate the game earlier on to get themselves into a 2v2, which would have been ideal. Appy made a misstep before. Let's see if he makes another.
They're moving over the top. They're baiting out the peak. They're baiting out the shots. They know this one position. They know the ridge line to their right is at least a little bit secure. Forwards push. Tommy gun out yet again for Fabian. And in come the rest of the 4 rivals,
Good
but not before
isolate.
their teammate falls. 2 versus 2. They isolated it. Pemperu, second to go. And now Down 1 and a 2 versus 1. They took on 4 and they've managed to knock back 3 of them. Now the last stand for 4 rivals to try and keep them alive here. Playing at the back. The zone is closing and it is the final one. Appy not going to be able to give that information over anymore. Fabian takes that feather out of his cap, and now the last player standing. Pui around the side. Fabian looks for the challenge, steps up, but falls back.
Oh,
They're
Down
just
1,
trading
eh?
off against one another, and Down 1 dominate. What a way to close out that game with 2.
2v4 there. I mean, they played cat and mouse with 4 rivals for so long, and usually it's Jerry that beaks out Tom, but if you've got 2 Toms, it's a very different story entirely. Very good stuff from Down 1 Game in the end there, and perfectly executed. I mean, on that northeast side, they've been playing out of action for quite a while, struggling to clear out that space. And you can tell that they're happy about this one. You know, this is so exciting for Korean fans, to be honest with you, overall, just because they have been a region that hasn't been able to perform massively well for a long, long while. Suddenly, Down 1 comes in, shifts up the perspective massively, and now you have a real powerhouse in PMGC coming through from Korea.
This is the form that we wanted to see from Down 1 more consistently over in Group Green. I was looking at them as being one of the teams on some of the strongest form in the lobby. We talked about them over the year, and you're right, this is a great moment for Korean fans. Coming off the back of a great game 1 as well, coming in with 14 points over there, a chicken dinner here. This is Down 1 Kia at their finest.
Absolutely, and you know, this was a team that we kind of described before as a 3rd place spot team. You know, they were able to get those points and put those numbers, getting into central spots and working from there, but they have revolutionized their gameplay off towards this edge play with some fantastic little angles they've been taking.
Really happy with their performance on this game. They control it, they play it perfectly, they're in, they're out, they're everywhere. It's Down 1 Kia.
My favorite.
नायक ने मरे जाए लाश निकला हाँ लगे लगे
स्टार्ट कर स्टार्ट कर
ये करा था ये तो फ्रेंड में है तो इधर से तो तू है के सब फ्रेंड कुछ ना कुछ
स्टार्ट कर अब
Film खेल
This is a simulation game set in a virtual world and does not represent real life.
আমি কে
Please
তুমি
play in
খুব ভালোবাসি
moderation,
বা
take frequent breaks, and play responsibly.
भाई मैं तो टूट गया
Team match. Let's go.
भाई मैं तो टूट गया बूम 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 बूम
The blue team has scored for the first time!
Hello, big fan, big fan. Let's go. Match लगाओ. Kill. লাইভ স্ট্রিম এখন
लाइव स्ट्रीम दिसो निकी हेलो 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 गाइस अच्छे से खेलना तुम लोग ओ लाइव स्ट्रीम दे रहा है अभी लाइक शेयर कर दो आलमा सलमा खिला दो हेलो हेलो बगीराम बगीराम स्टार्ट
टीम
फॉर
হ্যাঁ ম্যাচ লগা बाकी हम लोग सिंगर है रे भाई
चला मां बे अजो kadang ni orang ni pernah lagi lambat duklar kan
This is a simulation game set in a virtual world and does not represent real life. Please play in moderation, take frequent breaks, and play responsibly. Real life. Please play in moderation, take frequent breaks, and play responsibly. Let's fight together.
let's go boys except for boge hello guys
Form up on me. I got supplies. Watch out!
স্পট এনিমি আছে নাই Ora poliro poliro na drop
Enemies ahead!
MK है MK Oga है MK है Hmm. Hmm. Moi ইয়াকে কিল লাগে এনেকা হারামি এনিমি আছে নেকি এইটো এনিমিটো ফায়াৰ নকৰিব তপা বল বল সাইড নাম্বার মারি আছে বল ডায়মন্ড কি হল গাড়ী আমার গাড়ী ল বহুত হয় এবার টেনশন লব নালাগে ফিনিশ কৰিব দে খেলা এনিমি আহিছে পুলিচ হোৱাত আগত পিছ মিনিট এনিমি আহিব এতিয়া তোমাৰ গাড়ীটো লোৱা মই ইউটিউবত লাইভ আছ নাই কথা নকওঁ যেন তই ইউটিউবত
কথা কও কিবা কিবি ন তেতিয়া মানুহে চাব
দে আঙাক চলাব দে
দে চলাব দিছো দে বল
ব্ৰিজ চাইডে
ইউটিউব
বল দে চাইডে বল
Watch out!
ইয়াত নহয় সিটো ব্ৰিজ চাইডে ইয়াত কেলে গৈছে ইয়াত এনিমি নাই এই চাইডে প্লেন আহা নাই
রাইট সাইডে
বেক সাইডে লো
রাইট
বল
হ'ব দে বল হ'ব
মই স্পট লৈ খেলি আছো যে মোৰ হাই পিং বহুত নামাৰো আমি ৰিয়েল মাৰো ভাল খেলা অথনি স্কোৱাডটো গাড়ী লৈ অহাটো বহুত এম কে মাৰাটো বহুত বিচাৰিব লাগে ভয় কৰি আছো যেন তই মাৰিম নহয় গাড়ীটো ল বল এই পিছপিনে ড্ৰপ
Watch out!
তেল খতম গাড়ী লৈ পিছপিনে তবা
Watch out!
रास्ता एनिमी बोल रास्ता बोल
Watch out!
बहुत हो रो बेस उठा लो মই যাম
ড্ৰপত এনিমি
বল
এটা স্কোৱাড পলাই আছে
ক'ত পলাব
Enemies ahead! Watch out!
গাড়িতে রোখা রে কত রোখা এই পাগল
কি হ'ব কেলা ইমান বট লবি আহি 16টা মাৰি দিছো কেলা
This is a simulation game set in a virtual world and does not
Testy,
represent
testy
real
করে
life. Please play in moderation, take frequent breaks, and play responsibly.
কেলা কি ডাঙৰ কথাটো তোৰ
তপা বেচেৰা আমাৰ লগত খেলিলে এনিমিছ তপা আমাৰ লগত খেলিলে এনিমিছ হ'বই নাপায়
মে দুং
বাকি
দুং চক কমে ৰম
তপা
না
আমাৰ লগত
পাছন
খেলিলে এই এনিমিছ হ'বই নাপায়
প্লাষ্টিক মে ৰম পা
তপা আমাৰ লগত খেলিলে খেলা কিলে নাপায় তত তপা কি হ'ব কি দিয়ে মানে ডাঙৰ কথা
কি হ'ল ভাইটিবিলাক
মাৰিবই নোৱাৰ তই
তাত গাখীৰ খোৱা তাত মই ইয়াত বস্তু কেলা বিলাহী পুৰি আছো মই কি ডাঙৰ কথা কেলা বিলাহী পুৰি আছো কৈ আছো ইয়াত ডাঙৰ কথা বোলে लंबरगिनी चलाएगा enemy ऐसे
Enemies ahead!
मैं इधर बोलाम enemy
ক'ত আছে এনিমি হে হেল্ল এনিমি ক'ত আছে মৰি নিদিবি ৰ হেলমেট পাব দে গানটোতো নাপাওঁ হেলমেটটো পাব দে মইতো তোৰ ওচৰতে আছো দেখি পোৱা নাই যাব পাৰিম নে যাব নোৱাৰো মই
ইয়াত গান আছে বন্দুক আছে ইয়াৰা
কি আছে ইএমপি পালে হ'ব मार 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 हिटो मार मार नहीं तो आंगा रिवाइव दे
Awesome.
নাই মৰা জিন্দা আছো কেলা নোকোৱাকে সোমাই যাও কেলা সেইকাৰণে মই উজি ল'ব মন নাই কেলা ইমান জলদি খতম হৈ যায় গুলি টপা আছে নহয় টপাই চিকেন খুৱাবলৈ
মৰি দিম আৰু ৰ টেনচন নলবি
ওপৰত গৈছে ওপৰত যা টপা যা একেলগে যা
I got supplies. I got supplies.
আছে নেকি যা উমা রাস কর মর
মোর নেট নাই আর মোর খতম নিজে নিজে গৈ আছে এইটো ক'ত গৈ আছে আর মোর নেট খতম মোর নেট নেখিলো আর
নাই নেকি টিমমেট লালাক মাতি চাম ৰ লালাক মাতি চাম ৰ এই ৰিচিভ নাই কৰা আহি পোৱা নাই থাকে ঘৰ
ให้เลือกมากมายนะ
ใช่ค่ะต้องบอกว่าเงินรางวัลอย่างรอบเนี้ยรอบ global เนี่ย4 ล้าน US ดอลลาร์เลยนะตีเป็นเงินไทยเนี่ยเงินรางวัล
All rolling. Damwon still at the top. Of course, qualifying actually in 8th place to be fair, but I feel like that doesn't quite tell the story of the power that they had in that green group. But that east rotation, you're right, it's going to cut off a lot of teams. Larger sets of plans, right? It's going to shrink that down. So we're going to probably see a couple of conflicts come through, potentially, as we hop over to HVVP, with Alpha 7, potentially going to be the first of them to come to pass, as Alpha 7, as you were saying, dropped in that different location. Now going to have to maybe move around